about to shoot unscripted questions. This is Agenda Kenya with Jason Nyantino.
On Agenda Kenya tonight, Honorable Bishop Margaret Wanjiru, Assistant Minister for Housing, Member of Parliament for Starehe, and Brian Weke, Programs Director, Credo, the Children Foundation. Many thanks for joining us. Welcome to Agenda Kenya, the home of real debates. My name is Jason Nyantino. In my audience tonight, I got people coming in from Bomet County, Nairobi County, and all the way from Lamu County. Welcome aboard. Our first question of the evening is from Ajiki Godfrey, who is the student. Godfrey.
The NCIC chairperson, Mr. Kibunja, has come out open and stated that he has credible reports of tension between laws and cases in Nyanza province, following allegations by Honorable Medeo that Hon Samuel Ongeri was involved in the planning of the Prime Minister's assassination. Is he feeling an existent tension between the two communities?
Brian, what do you think, Jacoy Medio's allegations?
I think it is a high time we start treating individuals as individuals. It is a high time we start treating Jacoyo Medeo as Jacoyo Medeo. It is a high time we start treating Professor Ongeri as Professor Ongeri, and not Jacoyo as a Luo or Professor Ongeri as a Kisii. I can almost... This nonsense of asking people, is this Brian Weke, is he a Luo or a Luya? It is a high time we start looking at individuals. It is never a community offense if it's about individuals. And I think, let me tell you, without fear of contradiction, because I hail from that area, there is no tension between the Kisiis and the Luos. They have coexisted over the years in peace. And I can assure you, I just came from the vice chair's funeral in Nyanza. And Kisiis and Luos, there is no tension whatsoever. And I think it is so sad that the chair, a whole chair of the commission, can actually say that there is tension between Luos and Kikuyus. You know, as a whole chair of that commission, it would be prudent and important for them to get proper intelligence reports instead of just giving roadside declarations. I can tell you very honestly, there is none.
Just for clarification, which vice chair, the funeral you're talking about?
The vice chair of the NCIC.
Yeah, the late Mary.
The late Mary Onyango.
All right.
Yes.
That notwithstanding, do you think such allegations by Medeo have the potential to create tension? I know you've partially answered that, but assuming they were uttered and taken seriously by these communities, do you think that there will be a problem?
No, I think basically all politicians in this country, depending on what they say, it could fuel violence. For instance, the people who are ganging up against one individual, and they're telling Kenyans that they don't know who's gonna become president. What they know is that who will not become president. So basically, all these words that are coming out from these individuals, of course, they would create tension. Okay. But as Kenyans, it is a high time to start dealing with individuals as individuals.
Thank you.
And not as a community.
Thank you, Brian. Bishop, do you think Honorable Jacoy Medeo was justified to make those allegations in public?
Whether the allegations were true or not, that's what we are asking ourselves. However, I do know that at the top level, if you are under some threat, it's better to say them in public so that whoever was planning whatever they were planning, they will not do it. Even as you announce, you say, hey, aniliambiwa kuna watu wananipangia ABCD, believe you me, whoever was planning it, it ends there.
So he was right anyway.
To make it public was not wrong, but to make it personal was wrong. To make it public was not wrong. To say that the PM is under threat, somebody is planning ABCD, that was not wrong. But to go personal, that was wrong.
Okay.
And we cannot now bring it upwards to the communities, the Kisiis and the Luos, no. If it is between himself and his counterpart, to wachia wawili.
The NCIC chair, Dr. Kibunja, has already said that there's tension between the Luo and the Kisii communities.
I don't know where he got that one from.
He says credible information.
Credible information from who? If there is any tension within the communities, we will hear, we will know. We live with Kenyans, we talk to Kenyans. Kenya, you will know. Somebody in that region will tell somebody else in another region. It will circulate. We will know. So it cannot be, it's only him who has the information that there is tension. Okay, and assuming that there is tension, what is he doing about it?
Yeah, so actually that is what also worried me, because as NCIC, you're supposed to diffuse that tension, not calling a press conference
deal
to
with
declare
it,
the
and then
tension.
also go down to the grassroots and make sure that in a few days or within a few hours even, you deal with the elements that are raising that tension and you restore the community. But you cannot start calling the press and there is tension. Me as a leader now, if I start saying there is tension, I should be going there to solve the problem, not to call a press conference.
Let's broaden this a little bit. Midiwo's utterances are in the context of other politicians. He's not alone. We've had politicians making very inflammatory statements about elections, about ethnicity. What is your position?
My position is, when we are dealing with politics, if I say something as Margaret Wanjiru, let it not be taken that all Kikuyus have said it. It is Margaret Wanjiru personally who said it. We cannot be taking personalities to start speaking for the community. Though sometimes it's a thin line between some individuals as leaders and their community. But if the voice, if what they are saying is not building the nation, is not building that community, why should we allow ourselves to be driven into issues that are not building our communities?
All right, thank you. Let's hear the audience now. Gentleman on my right, in second last row.
My name is Okoko Njeka. The statements by Jakayo Midiwo have the power to put out tribal conflicts. So my question to you, Margaret, Honorable Margaret, is Jakayo being a plus or a minus to Raila Odinga's presidential ambitions? Because by the end of the day, the Kisis will rise up against the Luos.
All right, thank you. Take another comment. Second row, gentleman.
My name is Moses Kimodo.
Your Moses, thank you.
I concur with what Honorable Bishop Margaret is saying and Brian is saying also. We need to move out of ethnic lines. We need guys to come out from that we are the Gema community, that we are Kamatusa, we are Luos, we are all Kenyans after all. And it is a high time that we as Kenyans realize that this is a nation that needs to be united.
Okay.
And if we are not united, then there are other people out there who want our nation destroyed.
All right.
And it will happen.
Thank you. One more. Gentleman at the back in spectacles.
Yeah, my question is, if Jakayo Midiwo's claims, whatever, if they are true or not, are they an indicator that in Kenya we still have politicians who think of the only way to get to power is through physically removing someone or political assassination, since the tomboyas? I mean, is it an indicator that it can still happen in Kenya in our time today?
Thank you. Bishop, there was a question straight to you about Midiwo. Is he an asset for the Prime Minister, or is he a liability?
I would prefer that is judged by his constituency that voted him as an MP. Don't forget he's an MP, first and foremost. So somebody voted for him, he got into parliament, he's an MP. He's also a close friend to the PM. But that notwithstanding, I like what Kamodo said. We as Kenyans, we must detach ourselves from the politics that drive us the wrong way. Otherwise, when this country burns, when things go wrong in this country, all of us, God will hold us accountable. The gentleman behind there has asked, in this age, in this 21st century in Kenya, can people still be killing each other for political reasons? And the answer is, it's possible. Ask me from the 2006, 2007 experience of my entering into politics. Number one, they'll scandalize you. They will say horrible things about you. They will attack you physically, spiritually, everywhere they can attack you. They will attack you.
So
it is possible, and let us not take it for granted.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Bishop. Brian, this country is not short of political assassination. Look at Pio Gama Pinto, Tom Joseph Mboya, J.M. Kariuki, Dr. Robert Ouko, and many others. So should we just dismiss Midiwo like that?
No, I think what needs to come out clearly, we are not saying that we need to dismiss Midiwo. What we are saying, we do not know whether Midiwo is right or is not right. We do not know whether Midiwo's sources are credible or are not credible. What we are saying is that whatever he says should be dealt with. If they feels that the Prime Minister's life is in danger, then fine, let's accord him more security. But however, there are key things that we need to deal with in this country. And this is what politicians actually uses to rise tribal emotions. And basically what we need to deal with as a country, and this should happen before the next general elections, is that there should be a process that would be able to deal with historical injustices. Whether it is the issue of Pio Gama Pinto, the great Tom Mboya, J.M. Kariuki, the political assassinations, whether it's the issue of tribal conflicts, the issue of land conflict, we need to ensure that before the next general election, and we'll assure you, if we do not deal with these issues, and I will say this without fear of contradiction, what will happen in the next general election, I can assure you what happened in 2007 was actually a picnic. And as a country, we have to deal with these things.
That sounds very worrying. So
Yes.
let me probably get to hear what you could say about this. The NCIC, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, Kenyans are increasingly expressing their dissatisfaction. Are we really on the right track? I mean, can we solve national cohesion issues through a commission?
We can.
Was it a bad concept?
No. It's a very positive concept. However, there are certain commissions which need to work hand in hand. There should be a proper coordination. The Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission should be a very key aspect of the national of NCIC, because it would be important for us to have a forum where people speak the truth. People speak about the historical injustices. There should be a forum where there is actually justice in the process. There should be a process where there is reconciliation. However, TJRC has actually failed in its design and its execution of its duty. And on top of that...
do you trust NCIC? Do you trust TJRC? As an individual?
I think, honestly, these are institutions that we've set up as a country. Ideally, we should trust them, that the execution...
But do you trust them as a person?
Absolutely not. The execution is very poor.
Bishop, just one answer. Do you trust NCIC? Do you trust TJRC?
Before I tell you whether I trust them or not, my take is that the subject of reconciliation, of forgiveness, of coming into terms with what happened and now raising above board and going from there, getting a way forward in our country, it's quite a challenge. Believe you me, it's a great challenge. Now, the institutions, thus the NCIC, the TJRC, that have been given that mandate, how they carry it forward. The problem is not the institution. The problem is likely to be what the individuals do, how the individuals implement their mandate. I don't think we have a problem with the institutions. I think we have a problem with
Bishop,
how some individuals
Bishop,
implement their mandate.
You're a smart politician.
Very smart.
You're not answering my question, though.
Very smart.
Do you trust these institutions, yes or no?
For starters, I found a gentleman who I can acknowledge the lady is smart. So that's a good one. Anyway, I do trust them.
All
but
right.
I need, even as much as I trust them, I need to feel their positive impact, not their noise making. Positive impact. We want to go to a location, whereas during post-election violence, everybody hated each other, they fought, they burnt houses. We want to go there and find that reconciliation at the grassroots.
Thank you very much. This discussion continues shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back to Agenda Kenya with me, Jason Nyantino. Tonight, we are looking at some public interest issues as the country prepares for the next general election. My next question is from Tinda Susan Mbide, who is a student. Susan.
There are released rules recently by the IEBC to regulate the politicians' conduct. But how effective are these rules considering the type of issues which have been considered there? For example, the banning of night meetings. What happens when these meetings are made in private places, considering the Constitution has given a right for freedom of association, what will happen? People will not associate, and how will people be known that they are in banned meetings?
All right. Bran, night meetings.
First, I just want to say that Kenya is one of these countries that if you look at our policies, if you look at our legislations, we have one of the best legislations. We have one of the best policies in virtually all fields. Our biggest problem is execution. Now, when I was running a campaign in Kamukunji, of course, there were clear rules of running an election. The other people, they were coming in, there was a day I found my competitors, the likes of Akina Bishop and the others. They were in a hall literally paying people. And I called the police, I brought it, no, not you.
Can you withdraw that before we leave here?
Yes,
and I called the police. Actually, it was the other people, not your side.
Yes,
I called the police.
I don't do that.
The OCPD told me, my friend, I will look into it, and nothing happened. So having policies is one thing. Execution of these policies is another. And it is important that even as we come up with the policies, Jason, it would be important that we put people that we trust in these institutions. Now, the institutions you're asking, there's no problem with them. The problem is the people who lead these institutions, are people we do not have faith in. Now, we need to have a proper reform process within the police.
First of all, Brad,
yes.
Is this a good suggestion? Banning night meetings, yes or no?
You see, it is a good, let me tell you, first, you have to look at, first of all, the legality. The Constitution is very clear about people assembling, about people being able to express themselves.
So it's unconstitutional?
Absolutely, it is unconstitutional. The problem is never night meetings. There's nothing wrong with night meetings. You can have a very nice, peaceful night meetings. Ask Bishop.
Did you have
She has very nice, peaceful prayer meetings in the night.
Yes.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yourself, Brian, do you hold night meetings during campaigns?
I did hold very peaceful night meetings. There is nothing wrong with the night meetings.
So let's talk about enforceability of this. Now, assuming this proposal passes, how will IEBC enforce this?
You know, first and foremost, Jason, you need to understand that our guiding law in this country is the Constitution. And anything that is inconsistent with the Constitution will not see the end of light. And I can assure you, having a regulation that will seek to ban night meetings, there is nothing wrong with the night meetings. The only question is, would we be able to provide security for the night meetings that are peaceful?
All right.
And if somebody is holding a night meeting and administering violence, are we able to deal with them? That is the question.
Bishop.
Yes.
Number one, do you hold night meetings during campaigns?
I have keshas every Friday.
No, keshas are religious.
Yeah, and
I'm talking about political.
The day 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is a very short day. You can have night indoor meetings. Indoors means under a controlled environment. If you're doing rallies, you are outside and you're going into the night, you're not only risking your life, you're also endangering the lives of the people that are participating. But if you are indoor and it's controlled, maybe you're meeting your agents or you're training them, maybe you're talking to your mobilizers, maybe you're talking to the people that campaign for you one end or another, there is no way you can ban night meetings. Now, night also runs from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So whether they want to ban from 11 p.m.
we need to first define
we
night.
need to define this night. Because you cannot tell me I cannot have a meeting at 7 p.m. You cannot tell me I cannot have a meeting at 8 p.m. But even me, as I meet the people, they'll have to find their way home. 8, 9, people have to go home. They are not sleeping in the meetings. So there is, maybe we need to put a time frame. But now, my question to IEBC is, do they have the capacity to be able to implement such a law? Even if it was there, do they have the capacity to implement? How would they know who had a night meeting and who didn't have a night meeting? How are they going to be able to be involved in every small village, every small kijiji somewhere? How many officers would they give? For example, myself in Mathare, how many officers would they give us to know whether there are night meetings in Mathare or somewhere else? I mean, I don't think they have the capacity to implement that. That one, I don't think it's a solution to any campaigns.
So assuming this proposal passes, I have a problem with, is it constitutional? Because we have under the Bill of Rights, freedom of association.
It's not constitutional, but we are saying even if they ever got the right to it, it won't work. It's not, there are some laws that cannot be implemented. But my understanding of what IEBC is saying is much more than just the night meetings. IEBC is talking about bribery, which if you ask me, if they ever find a way to ban bribery, that is the day we are going to get good leaders in this country.
The IEBC Act, Bishop, stipulates, it stipulates that official campaign period is 30 days only.
Yes.
Is that sufficient for a leader? Like
I
you?
did my by-election campaigns within less than 30 days. I was left with no choice. I was given 20th September as, let me say, the court said go back for by-election. Parliament, the speaker said go back for election. By the time now the election date was announced, 20th September, I counted the days, they were less than 30. I remember actually asking someone, how do you expect me to campaign and deliver in less than 30 days? And they said, there is nothing we can do about it. I said, fine, I'm ready for it. I went for it. Within less than 30 days, I was back in Parliament. It is doable.
It's doable.
Yes. And my friend, it's better. It's less hassles and a lot of noise to our people. You make noise 30 days, you campaign 30 days, it's over. I wish we could stick to that.
All right, Brian,
Very
is
good
30
for us.
days sufficient for you?
I think being able to bring out a campaign message, being able to show Kenyans what you stand for, being able to mobilize people, I think even 30 days is way too much. We did ours in only 5 days, actually.
Yeah,
after they stopped
do
it,
it.
they only gave us 5 days to carry out a campaign. However, what IEBC is proposing does not mean that even 3 months before you do not campaign. What they're saying is the official campaign period, where you can come up with the promotional materials, where you can come up with, but really campaigning before that, basically you can do certain things.
So we need to have that distinction between campaigning and official campaigning.
No, there's a clear distinction, actually.
Please
What they are saying is that the official campaign period is actually within 30 days. However, they do not stop you from meeting people. Honorable Bishop is an MP in her own right. So of course she goes and talks to her people.
Yeah.
And campaign is a continuous process. There is nothing, don't think that campaign is just a new thing that comes up. No, it is a continuous process that you mobilize and sell your agenda to the people.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. I need to listen to my audience now. We start with gentleman in front here in tie. Your name, make your comments sharp and short, please.
Thank you, Jason. My name is Tom Boyer. And starting from the earlier debates, whenever you say the name Tom Boyer, it raises emotions. And looking at this topic, the IEBC has done a good job, especially under the chairmanship of Abdi Kadir. And before we demonize them, we have to appreciate the far they've come. Even so, I think the new rules are just, you may want to say that 30 days you can do the campaigns. I think for by-elections, it's possible, Honorable Margaret. But looking at it thoroughly, our politicians have been at it for the last 1 year. In fact, I think since the last elections, they've been campaigning. We've had parties broken up, others broken into. And right now, we're saying we're going to do it in 30 days. How workable is this? Do we have the mechanisms to implement this? I think that's a big question.
Just a point of correction, IEBC chair is Isaac Hassan, not
Isaac
Abdi
Hassan,
Kadir. Next comment, gentleman in red. I think that is the fourth row.
My name is Moses Githinji. I'm from Nairobi County. Recently, we voted in a new constitution. And this constitution was voted in by more than 2 million people. Now, if IEBC is not following the constitution itself, and it is coming up with bylaws, and the constitution we voted in has a commission to implement it. Now, are we saying that we're going to form a commission to implement the rules that IEBC came up with? Because we are not moving forward. We are turning around without coming up with a solution. The same people who are supposed to follow the law, the supreme law, are not doing it. So how are we to...
What do you mean when you say IEBC is not following the constitution?
What I mean is this. The constitution says that our election date is supposed to be in August. First of all, right now, they say that if they had that time and if the National Accord was dissolved right now, we could have elections in August. But they have come up with a date which says March 4th, of which is not constitutional.
Okay. Thank you, Moses. Bishop, do you want to take any of those?
Yes, Tomboya, the rest of us, the guy behind there, I think first of all, let us not think that IEBC would do something that is unconstitutional. And I'm not trying to defend them. I'm going to justify my statement in a short while. The reason being, they are also agents of implementing the Constitution. Now, the fact that we are talking about freedom of association and they are saying they will limit the hours of meetings in the night or whatever, what they're trying to say is we need laws that politicians can obey. We need laws that can trim, that can put the politicians within boundaries where they can operate. And believe you me, as much as we are not going to agree with everything they are going to propose, I think we need to be guided. We need to be put within perimeters. If politicians are not put within perimeters, I just had somebody else say they have already been campaigning. 1 year down the road, they have been campaigning. My take is they have not been campaigning. They have only been doing two things. One, making a lot of noise, and two, insulting each other.
What have you been doing as a pastor?
For me, true campaign is selling your ideologies, selling your agenda, your manifesto, telling Kenyans, this is our development agenda. This is why we want to be in power. Okay. This is why we want to be in positions that can enable us, facilitate us to deliver these services to you. Now, that is campaign.
Yeah, there was a question on election date.
Yes, August. So why did IEBC change from August to March 4th? Or even if they went later than that, or whatever they would have done. Or why, even if they went to December, would still be saying they changed. But I can justify that as well. Number one, people, please understand, we have the diaspora. The diaspora registration of voters has not even started. The diaspora, even their registers, their own registers as people living abroad, will have to be consolidated for them now to come to the level to register as voters. Number two, we must see even ourselves, as we are right now, those who are locally here, Kenyans, leave alone those abroad, us locally here, we don't have voters card. The one we use, the register that was used last time, I myself personally, I would never want to see Kenyans using that register.
So, Bishop, where do you stand? December or March?
The register has to be cleaned up. I stand for March.
For March.
There is too much work to be done.
Thank you.
We cannot go to December.
Brian, election dates.
Yeah.
I think first, I need to point out the fact that the Constitution is only as good as the people who agitate for it to be implemented. Let's not sit here and say CIOC is charged with the responsibility. It is our Constitution, and as a people of this country, we need to understand what it provides for and push the government to give us what we want. I honestly think, I can give you a legal argument and a social argument. I honestly think that it is so dishonest for a whole electoral commission to tell Kenyans that they cannot do an election in the next, maybe in August or December. I think that is nonsense of the highest order. Any electoral commission should be prepared to hold an election at any given time. Because if you look at the Constitution, if anything, and let me knock on wood, if anything was to happen to the leadership of this country, what would happen? Will we say we stay without the leadership for another 6 months? It is a high time that we are prepared to hold election at any given time.
Good.
Now,
are you for December or for March?
The legal argument is that, personally, I am for, initially I was for August, but I am now for December. Okay. However, the legal...
So you might go to March.
The legal decision is this. The court had provided an option where the Electoral Commission, which is mandated to decide the date of election, decided to do it in March. However, Jason,
I need to cut you short, Brian.
No, let me just finalize this.
I need to take a break. I'll give you time. I'll give you time. That is time for our second break. And if you're watching us from home, you need to be part of this discussion by answering this question. Do you support IEBC's proposal to ban night meetings during election campaigns? You know the drill. Text your response to the number on your screen. Give us your name and location. You can also follow this debate on Twitter using hashtag #AgendaKenya. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Agenda Kenya with me, Jason Nyantino. Tonight we are looking at various public interest issues as the country prepares for the next general election. Brian, before we took a break, you were educating us about the election date.
Yes, I was actually saying that still there is a window of opportunity. As young people of this country, as good comrades of this country, as the people of this country, we can still push the Prime Minister and His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, so that we can hold elections this year. The election date for IEBC is not cast in stone. Let no one lie to you. We can still push the Prime Minister and the President. Because honestly, if we hold election in March, my good friend, Honorable Bishop, will be eating a salary for 3 months, which is unconstitutional. And I urge you as a great reformer of this country, please refuse to take that salary because it is not legal.
As Bishop responds, Brian, you sound like you are ready for campaigns. When are you starting your campaign?
I think today is not that time. I will definitely speak to the people and tell them when.
All right. Bishop, defend yourself, please.
My issue here is not about MPs getting an extra 3 months. It's the question, even as Brian said himself, is Kenya prepared for elections now? And the answer is no.
But what are we doing?
Secondly,
why can't we just
allow me,
prepare for the election?
do we want to prepare for elections hurriedly? Do we want to use the same old register that had dead people and they are appearing on the register? Do we want to use the same so-called black books that caused so much confusion in 2007 until people were fighting? For me, it is better we give IEBC time to get their work ready, to put their act together, prepare all the materials, and let's have a proper election, an election that will define.
That's good,
that will
Bishop.
define this country.
Brian raised a question you have not answered. Will you take the salary for the extra 3 months?
I don't lie. I will take the salary because I'll still be working.
All right.
I don't lie.
Thank you.
I will still be working.
Thank you. I think my next question is from Rono Philemon. Rono is a student.
My concern is the fact that during church services, the politicians are taking the center stage in the pulpit, and yet it is a day meant to worship God, a day dedicated to God, to hear from Him. And you find that when the politicians come in, they are being given time. They are being given time to an extent of they dilute the message of the day.
All right.
Is that in order for sure?
Thank you. I know, Bishop, you have already answered, but let me hear from... No, Brian, you need to respond to that.
Brian has no answer for that.
No, he needs to give us his position. Brian, please.
Now, honestly, I can tell you this without fear of contradiction, that I know it might sound blasphemic, but there are churches that do not allow, as a matter of policy, whether it is who, if they check into their church, they do not allow to give any politician platform. And one of the churches is actually where I go to church, which is Chapel. Now, but I can assure you, majority of these churches are actually their businesses. When I was running for Kamukunji, I can assure you, I was being called by bishops and pastors and everyone. And once you check in the church, you're first given the problems of the church. Okay. And once you're able to deal with the problem, you're given a platform to dilute the service. Honestly, it is disrespect to the people who go to church. Okay. It is disrespectful to God Himself, because really, that is a day where people have decided that this is the day I'm going to serve my Lord.
All right.
So allowing politicians to infiltrate churches and infiltrate the message of the Lord, I don't think is important.
Thank you. Brian, I knew you had an answer. Bishop, do you allow politicians in your church?
He didn't have an answer. He had an accusation.
Do you allow politicians in your church?
My take is, first of all, I'm a politician.
I was waiting for that. Actually.
Yes. So when you're talking about politicians and you're talking about bishops, you have one who is a bishop and who is a politician. So let me address myself and address others.
Yes. Quickly.
So how do we deal with the platform? Number one question is, which platform? You have a platform inside the church and you have a platform outside the church. Brian has just mentioned some churches that will not give a politicians a pulpit inside the church. The real truth is, Once they go out with the media, which they came with, outside the church there, they'll be speaking. So whether you give them a platform inside or outside, they will still speak, and you will be watching your church on TV in the night, and you'll be asking, when did they speak? I did not give them a chance. They were just outside there because they came with their media.
Tell us about your church.
In my church, number one, give honor unto whom honor is due. If I honor somebody, I will allow them to speak. I will be standing there, and if they say something that contradicts my principles, I will undo it right there in their presence. Yangu haigojeangi kesho. Right there, I will say, hey, Mr. or Sister so-and-so, thank you for coming to visit us. But what you have said, ABCD, here we don't agree. If you come to our church right now,
Bishop,
and start asking for votes for, I want to be governor, I want to be senator. Even if I'm not in, my associate pastor will tell you, by the way, you are speaking to a people who have already made up their mind who they want for senator or for governor.
All
so
right.
you're on the wrong
Bishop,
platform,
Bishop,
but we gave you a chance to beat us.
There are some allegations raised about your church when Maina Njenga,
when Maina Njenga came to the church?
When he came to your church,
yes,
made some politically loaded statements. Is that
no,
true?
no. Maina Njenga did not come to our church for politics. He has never come to GM for politics. Maina Njenga came from Kingongo prisons in Nyeri straight to GM. I was in the Ministry of Housing.
Did he make
I
any
was
statements?
called. No. He came to GM and I was called. I came and met him and he said, I've come from prison. I have come to church. I need prayers to get saved. I prayed for him to get saved. He did not, and he has never made a political statement in GM. Apparently, he would not do it. Guy doesn't mess around with me. He wouldn't.
All right. Let's now about religion and politics, specifically, and probably your solutions.
Yes, this is a good
your
one.
Solutions. The lady in glasses.
I'm Nyambura Kehoro from Nairobi County, and my question is, Honorable Margaret, is there any time that, okay, you just told us that when someone comes and speaks and the person tells the associate pastor will actually tell them the people already know who they'll vote for, governor or senator. Is there any time that you've ever directed your people as a congregation to believe what you actually believed, not considering that you have other people who believe other issues?
By the way, I don't direct. What I'm saying is, when you come to church, we give you honor. But we are not giving you honor for you to come and campaign. It's not a campaign ground. You can come and greet us. And as much as I agree with Brian that some churches ask for money, in GM, nobody will ask you for money. Apparently, even if we are having a fundraising, we'll do it ourselves with our members. But hold on to this young lady. She has a very good point.
Quickly, please.
Do we direct the congregation whom to vote for? This is the point. Let the politicians come, but not to ask for votes. Let them come as members. Let them come as to fellowship.
I have a question for you, actually.
Yes.
How do you manage your own now? This is your congregation.
Yes.
When do you tell them, now I'm running for Stare and I'm not preaching?
I announce I'm running for Stare.
In
It's
church,
biblical.
in the pulpit.
I can do it in the pulpit or not on the pulpit.
But you don't allow others to do that?
No.
All right.
I will tell you
Thanks
why.
for the,
because
quickly.
if you're coming to seek for votes, if today Kamau comes, seeks for votes, I want governor. Onyango comes tomorrow, I want governor. You'll confuse the congregation. If you want votes, go to a campaigning platform.
Thank you, Bishop. The lady in the second row.
Frida Wada, a Kenyan. Okay, Madam Magnet, I have a question. We find that in Kenya today, our religious leaders, we as the congregation, whatever our pastors tell us, we tend to give it much importance. But then what is happening today? The religious leaders are trying to direct, misleading the congregation, either as per their own opinion. So they tend siding on one side. Now, I was feeling a religious institution should be neutral, or you lead your people to the light side.
Thank you. I think, Bishop, you've answered that question partially. So I'll allow Brian to also respond. Using the pulpit for political.
Respond when he doesn't guide.
No, he goes to
not
church.
A pastor.
He goes to church.
He is on her perspective, from a congregational perspective.
I honestly, I think, even though I'm not a pastor, I'm a member of the congregation, and I believe in certain principles. I honestly feel, and this is why we need to speak to members of congregation, the pastor can only guide you in matters of spirituality. The pastor can only guide you in matters of the Bible. The pastor can only guide you in matters of the Christian faith. Now, even if the pastor decides to support a politician, it is about you, the onus is on you to decide as a faithful, as a Christian, as a Muslim, which is the way I needed to go. However, people go to church for spiritual nourishment and not political nourishment. So it is important that we need to bring out this, Jason, that the church platform should never and can never be a political platform.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
Let me add
One more
this.
question for Brian before we broaden the debate. There's religious leaders have been attending tribal meetings. You've seen them in the Gema meetings. You've seen them in the Kamatusa meetings and others which probably happen at night, which we don't know. What's your take?
It is so sad, and that's the reason why I still stick to the fact that religious leaders should actually just offer spiritual nourishment. It is so sad that if we can see serious church leaders in this country attending political forums and even taking positions within those, the Gemas and the Kamatusas, they're actually patrons and I don't know, officials. It is sad for this country. Okay. The question is actually, it's just so sad that I know the Bible says that you need not to judge them because it's not about what they decide to do out of Christianity. But I can assure you, it is a very sad affair and that should be condemned.
Just now, give me a chance here.
Yes, strongest terms.
The church has a right to guide the congregation even on moral issues. Not just on biblical, not just on spiritual, what is feeding your spiritual man, but even on moral issues of our nation.
So in this case, politics, moral
hold on, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Where we have reached, and the Bible I preach, biblically speaking, you cannot separate state. You cannot separate state and church. You cannot separate church and politics. I will justify my statement.
Please.
King David was a king. King David, the Psalms, majority of the Psalms we read were written by King David. Zechariah chapter 6, the Bible says, the office of the king and the office of the priest shall operate together, and both shall be at peace in harmony.
Bishop, do you know that? As you finish, do you know that the current constitution actually separates the state and religion?
Hold on, I'm getting there. Hold on.
Come quickly.
Secondly, even if a king or a leader is in office, they will need spiritual input from the spiritual leaders. You cannot separate that king, whether he's a Christian or a Muslim or whatever religion he comes from. You cannot separate that king from their religion. That have been said. I disagree with the church leaders taking tribal lines. I am a church leader who does not take tribal lines. You will never see me in a tribal sitting. I am in politics. I do not take tribal lines. I am a nationalist. I am a Kenyan. I work for all tribes and I preach to all tribes. If you look at my 26 pastors in one branch, only one branch, they are all from different tribes. What am I saying? Leaders, church leaders must raise above board when it comes to tribalism.
All right. Thank you, Bishop. And
Yes.
that does it for this week's edition of Agenda Kenya. I thank my studio audience and my panel for that wonderful, wonderful discussion, and to all of you at home for watching. You can still be part of this discussion by responding to this question. Do you support IEBC's proposal to ban night meetings during election campaigns? Text your response to the number on your screen. Give us your name and location. You can also extend this discussion on Twitter by using hashtag Agenda Kenya and also our Facebook link. We do this again next week. So see you then, and bye-bye.